everybody, and welcome to a Tatter-a-fact here at the Girlz Inc. studio in Las Vegas. And today we're doing a remote podcast, and we're doing it with someone super cool. I think she's a badass. She's different. I hear you giggling over there. And she's become a really, really good friend. So I'm super stoked to have her, Jenn Boyd. Yay. Hey. Jenn.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I know you're kind of shy and a little reserved. I saw an Instagram post of yours. It might have been New Year's resolution stuff, and maybe that's when you posted it. And I saw you post a list of things that you wanted to either be better at or they were on your bucket list this year. And one of them was being not being so shy and being a little bit more, putting yourself out there a little bit more and being the face of your brand. And I don't know, did that include reels, Jenn? Are we going to see Jenn Boyd doing reels?
Probably not, because I'm really bad at scripted things and I'm really bad at, following directions. So probably not. For me, I think it's going to be more of, lives and getting out there, talking about products more, talking about the law of attraction and all that good stuff. So it's probably not going to be too many reels.
Not too many reels, I know.
Yeah, you probably won't see me dancing.
No dancing. You know what? Well, it's like, so we have a close group of friends, our tribe, and like no one in our tribe does reels. And I knew when I started doing them, everyone's gonna make fun of me. And and of course, Will made fun of me a little bit, and that's. But I knew it was coming.
Come on, you think Will's not going to make fun of me all the time either when I talk about law of attraction?
Oh, I know. He totally makes fun of me. But I got to tell you, with the reels, and I don't even really do the reels to promote product. I mean, we do reels like that. But what reels have become to me is they're fun. They're actually kind of a distractor, right? For me, because I get the anxiety, I get caught up in my own thoughts, and you have to have like distractors and things to pull you out of that. And the reels do that for me. My God, we just did what, 3 reels today, you guys, right before the podcast, and they were so fucking funny. We were out. Olivia was snort laughing. And it's like, when I sneeze, I pee. If I laugh too much, I pee. So, I might have dribbled a little bit. We were laughing so hard.
So it's good the camera's just like here and up.
Yeah, exactly. So they're fun. And I think it's a little break from being on the computer. For my team, it's a little break to get out from behind the computers. It brings us together. We laugh our asses off. And they're fun. And you have to be creative. And you have to remember the lines a little bit. And if you're creative enough, then you can do some with products and tattooing, and they can also promote your business and promote your products while having a lot of fun. So I like them. There really are some stupid reels out there though that I'm like, I'm not really down for that one. But
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just not for me. Like I wouldn't enjoy doing it, so I won't do it. I enjoy speaking on things I know about, and then that's it, because I know it would take 25,000 takes for me to actually get like the words right, because don't you have to kind of lip sync?
Yeah, you got to lip sync.
Yeah, I would be horrible at that.
Yeah, and we usually have a camera rolling, and we'll do like we'll record like me trying to do a reel, and you fuck up your words all the time, and you don't get your timing right, and sometimes the behind the scenes video we capture ends up being funnier than the actual reel, because you screw up so bad and you laugh, and it's just funny. It's funny. So yeah, but Kat, to try to get Kat in a reel, it's got to be a really good reel. It's going to be right up her alley. She doesn't really dig the reels either, but she's like, it's so you, Teryn. I'm like, I know. Yeah, so Jenn Boyd. All right, so let's just look. Everybody knows that anybody that knows you, follows you, knows that you're a badass microblader. You're really, really super skilled at microblading. That's your jam. You're a microblader, and you're really super good at it. And but I don't really want to talk about that today. I think we'll have you come back, and we'll do like a whole podcast on microblading and, you know, the craft of microblading. You give some really cool nuggets, and we'll talk about that. But today I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit more personal, learn a little bit more about you, and talk about you know, your business, your online store, law of attraction, just you know, some things like that. I thought that would be super cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because you're interesting. Not everybody's interesting.
I try.
Well, you're really interesting looking, like, you know, and which I love your look. You kind of got like the goth kind of look. And your house is, well, when you were in California, your house was like super cool, but you've moved to Florida now, and your house is like, oh my God. It's like, I'm not a goth person, but I love your house. I never thought I would say I want to eat like a ribeye off a coffin, but I would.
Oh, you will one. You definitely will be one day.
Yeah, I'm going to eat a ribeye on your coffin. I am. Yes, I am. I know your coffin dining room table is badass, and I would imagine a coffin dining room table is not for everyone. You know, coffins kind of creep people out.
Probably not.
No, but you would probably you'd take a nap in a coffin. You drive a hearse, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on how you look at it. For us, we're just like, we think like coffin shapes and hearses and all of it is just fun. Yeah. Like we don't see any morbidity in it at all.
Right.
But everyone else does, so yeah. I'm probably
yeah. Well, it's probably a good way to look at it, right? It probably saves a lot of, you know, I guess stress, worry. I don't know. Because a lot of people look at hearses and coffins and that sort of fun, and it just creeps them out, makes them think of their own mortality. Which,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right? And some people, you know, I mean, they're afraid of their own mortality. You know, it really creeps them out to the point where it gives them anxiety. I know somebody who has anxiety over thinking about her death, and I'm like, why do you even think about your death? You're like, you know, you're 47 years old, for Christ's sakes. Why are you thinking about your death? I don't know. You know, I think it creeps it up into our mind every now and then, but it's not a constant for me. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a constant thought for me. But I got a friend where it's a pretty regular thought, and I couldn't imagine living with that thought. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So let's just how did you get into PMU? What was it about? You know, permanent makeup that attracted you? Because weren't you a little bit? Were you a little bit? I don't want to say older, but. Longer in the tooth? Longer in the tooth?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was 39 when I took my first class, and it was a 2-day class, and I'll be honest, I didn't know it was permanent makeup. I had been doing brows and working in that genre for a while, and one of my friends said, you know, you're so good at shaping brows, and you're so good with symmetry, I think you should take this class. And he sent me the link, and it was called brow embroidery / microblading. Oh. So the first thing I think of when I hear embroidery is like those old like circle things that we used to do in school. Yeah. So I was like, are we putting thread into brows? Are we putting hairs in them? Like, what are we doing? So
I know exactly what you mean. They usually have like a rooster. Like a barn and a rooster on them, right?
Home sweet home.
Home sweet home. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take our savings, and I took everything from our savings, the whole $3,500.
Everything. That was everything.
Everything.
So that would be
Mark trusts me with everything. Because
so is that what we would call a calculated risk, or is that what we would call I don't know, your entire savings? Yeah, that's like a ballsy risk.
It was, and I had just started getting into the law of attraction, and I just felt good about it when I paid for the class, and I felt good about it when I went to class, and it honestly was the most life-changing thing I've ever done.
Yeah, well, of course, because
You know, the class was horrible.
Yeah.
And I only survived and got where I am now because I knew how to shape brows. So really all I needed that class for was so I can learn how to use the actual tool.
Like how deep to go and how to, yeah, all the technical stuff. So you had
Exactly.
the artistic
Right.
knack
If I
for
had
it.
that behind me, I don't know if I would have survived. But having that behind me really helped. I learned enough in that class to feel confident enough to somehow work on people.
Yeah.
But it took off right away. I mean, from the moment I got back from class, I put out an ad for 10 models at $350, and I did those in 2 weeks. And then all their friends started calling me, and by the time I was like 4 or 5 months in, I was probably getting 20 new clients a week.
Wow, that's a lot. So was it already super saturated back then, or did you get in like at the right time? Because right now, I think PMU, like in all the every city across America, and could be for other countries too. I mean, it's super saturated, right?
Yeah, there's none of that happening anymore, where you take your class and you're making, $30,000-$40,000 a month. It's just that doesn't happen anymore.
It is, yeah, it's just not happening anymore,
Yeah, it happened a lot in the beginning. I was probably one of 5 people microblading in Los Angeles County. I only knew of 2 others at the time, and one of them was Daria.
Yeah.
And other than that, I think there was one other person and me, and that was it.
And that was it. Wow. So, wow. So okay. So let's talk about your initial training. So you are I'm going to word it this way. You are a product of a 2-day class, right?
I am.
I'm accurate when I say that. You took a 2-day microblading class, and of course, there is a lot of controversy around these 2-day classes. I mean, when they come up on on Facebook and on social media, I mean, it's super controversial. A lot of people, can't stand them and are really loud about it and whatnot. And I guess it depends on the 2-day class. I guess you could, right? I guess it's the way you utilize that 2-day class. The way I look at it is, if you take a 2-day class, you've never done PMU or microblading ever, you go take a 2-day class, and then you think that's all you need that's all the training you need, and you start working on faces, and you're messing up faces.
Yeah.
That's bad, right? That's bad. But if you go take that 2-day class and it ignites passion in you, and you think, okay, this is something that I really dig and that I want to do, and you also have the awareness that you need more training, you need to go submerge yourself in an additional training, then I think that's okay. I think it's the way you utilize that 2-day class. I think the 2-day classes can almost be like a way to like a pre-screening, like to dip your toe in the water to see if you even like microblading. Can you work with blood? Do you like it? Is this something that you want to do before you go get into a long training commitment and spend a lot of money and buy a lot of pigments, and because it's a financial investment. If you decide you want to be a PMU artist or a microblading artist, it's a big investment. You got to find a place to work out of. You got to get health department licensed, insurance, and pigments, and everything. It can be thousands and thousands of dollars to set up. So I think it can be like a pre-screening, or it can be disaster. I mean, you go take a class and, and I don't know. You don't think you need any new training and you just have at it and it can be a mess. It can end up a hot mess.
Definitely. I am a product of a 2-day class, but within 6 months, I was already in my next class. 6 months later, I was in another. Yeah. So I knew that in order to really understand and be good at what I was doing, I not only had to, work on as many clients as I could, but learn from as many different people as I could. And sometimes I took a class and I was like, that's just not for me. I'm not going to do it, but I'm glad I took it because I took some things away from that. And then there's been classes that have just blown my mind. So my 2-day class was the typical, they came from overseas. I had, I was in a hotel room. We tattooed on carpet. It was literally like the cliche microblading course. And I mean, I didn't have to get a tattoo license. The, instructor was walking around touching models with the same gloves.
Oh,
it was
God.
Everything that, people talk about and complain about wrapped up into one.
Yeah.
But I will say the person was a really good artist, and I did learn what I needed to kind of move forward. And then I just started reaching out to other artists, and they would, usually shoot me down and say, take another class, take another class.
Yeah. Yeah.
So eventually that's what I did. I mean, I took more classes. I only took one microblading class though. The other classes I took were more machine based.
Well, you had natural talent, I think, right out of the get-go. And some people just do. Some people just have it. And then some people have to work really hard for it. And then some people never get it. That's my philosophy. I think I think that's the way it is. And unfortunately, there's some people that just they never quite acquire it, right? They never quite get to that skill level. This is just not for them.
It's not for everybody. And if it was, then we'd all be charging $50 for eyebrows.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, so shame on that trainer, right? If you're a trainer, you should know bloodborne pathogens. You shouldn't be tattooed on carpet and touching things with your gloves and cross-contamination. I mean, your training area, your training, it should be, impeccable and on point. But sometimes I don't think, like, if you've never tattooed before, I don't know if you're conscientious of bloodborne pathogens and what's gross or what's not gross, right? I know I wasn't as a young artist. I mean, I just really didn't. So that was my next question. When you were in that class, I mean, in that moment, did you know, oh, this is gross, this shouldn't be going on? Or, were you like me and you just had no idea? You had no idea about bloodborne pathogens and she was committing all these crimes.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't know you can tattoo on carpet. I didn't know that we had to wrap the table, but I did know that having a pair of gloves on and touching random other models at the same time was wrong, just because I was a makeup artist and I owned a salon at the time. So I knew the basics of it, and I kind of looked around and I was just like, I don't know if I would actually want to be, cutting into somebody and then touching another person with those same gloves.
Right.
It's just kind of also common sense.
Yeah.
And, it was just kind of, I don't know. I just kind of looked around and I just saw things that didn't feel right. But I think now there's just no excuse for it. Back then, we didn't know because there was no awareness. Nobody was talking about it on, Facebook. We didn't have groups like, microblading advice and tips.
Right.
We didn't have all that.
Right.
But now,
which is your group. You got a really great group, microblading advice and tips. So anybody listening not on Jenn's group, you can go join her group. Yeah, I know. And I'm like you. I think it's just some of it's common sense and some of it you do need to learn, right? So I think the whole, if your gloves are all, if you have blood on your gloves from a client, you don't touch anything else. To me, that was just kind of common sense. But there was a lot more that went on with cross-contamination that I didn't know. And, I'm sure I committed, I call it crimes. I don't know another word for that.
Yeah. I mean, I was taught to use the same microblading handle and just switch out the blade.
The blade, yeah.
And just like wipe it down with alcohol, barbicide, whatever. And then I read online that people were using single use. So I just ordered a bunch of handles from Alibaba and I started doing that. And I just kind of little by little started realizing the things I needed to do. I couldn't even get my tattoo license in LA for a year because every time I called the Department of Health, they would say they don't deal with microblading because it's not permanent makeup.
Yeah, for so long, it wasn't considered a tattoo. It wasn't considered permanent makeup. It was just this entity out in its own with like no rules, no guidelines, no oversight, no nothing, you know? And a lot of people took advantage of that and really profited off that, you know, and took, right. So, but now, at least now, and I remember all the arguments on Facebook, whether it was permanent makeup, whether it was tattooing, you know, I mean, there was semi-permanent. Yeah, we know now, nothing's semi-permanent, you know, if you can't, you know, wash it off, you know, if you got to literally wait months for something to fade out of your face or go have removal, then that's permanent, you know, but some people want to like, you know, get all nitty gritty and say, yeah, but it doesn't last forever. Well, what the fuck does? Industrial car paint doesn't last forever. You know, pocket in a Vegas driveway, do you know, for for a few summers.
If you can't guarantee it's all coming out, it's permanent.
It's permanent, right. So I don't like this tit for tat, you know. I think it's marketing, right? Because to some women, saying semi-permanent, you know, it's appeasing to some people. It's comforting to some people. Right. I think it's a marketing thing. Like when I first started back in the day, you know, I'm coming up on 22 years this September, so just a few short months. And I got 22 years in this industry. And I remember my first and I came from a body tattoo background. So I damn well knew my first eyebrows I ever did, I knew that was tattooing. I just happened to be tattooing the face, but so do a lot of body tattooers. I mean, there's facial tattoos. And I just happened to be tattooing in the form of an eyebrow using brown pigments and blondes and taupes. I knew it was tattooing, Jen, and no one could convince me otherwise. And back then, 22 years ago, I did my very first lecture on needles. There was no needle theory, or no one in permanent makeup was talking or teaching needles. And that really blew my mind coming from body tattooing, because in body tattooing, artistry was everything. We made our own needles, for Christ's sakes. Knowing your needles were your paintbrushes. Tattoo artists knew their needles, and in PMU, they didn't know needles. They didn't know these things. And I remember giving my first lecture on needles, and I was told I couldn't say the word tattoo. I was advised against saying the word tattoo. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's so taboo, you know?
It's so taboo, yeah.
They get a tattoo on their face, but they'll get makeup on their face.
And don't you know how I opened up my lecture? Hi, my name is Teryn Darling, and I am a cosmetic tattoo artist. And right up until I walked on stage, I didn't know if that was going to be my opening statement or not. And Kat was, and I was dressed, you know, I was also advised to wear long sleeves, not show my tattoos, don't talk about, you know, I used a coil machine, you know, I got made fun of a couple of times. They called it a jackhammer. I got an argument with a gal at a convention class because she kind of got on my ass about using a coil and that I should be wearing a face shield because all the blood splatter a coil causes. And it upset me so bad because she was like 70 years old. Nothing wrong with that, but I don't know. And she used, you know, this permanent makeup pen. I was just like, I was so upset, Jen. And it was like, she just had no idea what she was talking about. Do you know what I mean? And it upset me so bad because I knew my tools. I knew my coil machine. And my work was really, really good. And yeah, so I think we've come like such a long way. The industry has really evolved to, you know, where we are today. And of course, personally, I think it's a fantastic thing where the industry is today on so many levels. And of course, when there's an industry evolves as fast as our industry has, I mean, look how fast it has evolved in the last just 4 or 5 years, then of course there's some not so great things that, you know, get caught up in that as well. But I think overall, I'm really excited about the evolvement of our industry and the artistry level and all the movements and needles and whatnot. Not that there are, you know, too many people stuck on this single needle. I can't wait until we kind of get back to a little bit of needle diversity, you know. But yeah, but I don't know. I just think it's super exciting, you know, where we are. You know, we've come a long way, girl. My God.
Yeah, and I mean now it's like it's almost weird to see people without tattoos.
Without tattoos, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before it was like cover them up, you know.
Yeah.
that stigma behind it, and now it's kind of like, oh, you don't have any tattoos? Like,
right.
I can get one.
Right. Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right. So you know, we talked about you being like a little bit shy. I remember. Do you remember when we met?
Like when we first met face to face.
Like face to face. I think we chatted a little bit. So you were friends with Will first.
I was friends with Will first.
Yeah. Will and I were friends. Yeah, Will and I were friends. And then I remember him, and you know, he and I got close really quick. And then I remember him mentioning you, talking about you. Take a look at you. You know, she seems like a really cool chick, and blah blah blah. And then you and he became, you know, really really good friends. And I think you and I started chatting a little bit. And then I finally met you at the first ATB, America the Beautiful conference in Hollywood. And yeah, and I remember thinking like, yeah, I don't think she digs me. Because you are so shy. You're more of an introvert, and I'm definitely more outgoing. You know, I'm a little more outgoing, and you know, I don't know. I'm not shy meeting people and extending myself. And you are. You're I don't know if shy is the right word, Jenn.
I wouldn't say I'm shy, but I'm definitely reserved.
Reserved. That's a good word. Yeah. Reserved.
Yeah. I don't have like and I never was a girl that had like this huge circle of friends. I always had close friends, and then, you know, people I knew on the outside. But I do remember first meeting you, and I was nervous to meet you because I looked up to you so much.
Oh, that's sweet.
And I had met Will before, and the first time him and I spoke, he actually messaged me on Facebook Messenger, and he said, "Hey, your work is dope."
Yeah.
That was the first message I got from him. And I saw the name messaging me, and I'm like, oh my God, what is he going to say to me? You know, because people were, you know, like, oh my God, Will Anthony, right?
Yeah.
He was one of the most like well-known people in PMU at the time.
Right.
And he said that, and I was like, oh wow, thanks. And then we just like here and there would talk, and we were talking about our dogs. And then I met him for the first time at the Everlasting Brows convention. Yeah. And we just hit it off right away, like we were brother and sister. Like
yeah.
Right away. Like we just like, I don't know. It was like he was my long lost family.
Oh, I didn't like him at first. I didn't. Well, him and I, you know, we've been friends, 8 years now, you know, and so he knows this story. Yeah. I just felt like, I don't know, he was just kind of weird, you know, and I'm a little guarded towards men anyway. You know, and he was like kind of, I don't want to say stalking, but he was a little bit online. And like at my work, and then, you know, about the pigments, you know, and then you know how he is. He called Kat, you know, he wanted like deals. You know how Will is, you know, and she was like, who is this guy? He's driving me fucking crazy, you know, and and then, yeah, it was a little unsure. Like his Facebook page was a little sketchy. Like he kind of had like a fake city, and I don't know. It was like the whole thing was a little weird at first. And then I ended up talking to him on the phone because he wanted to learn. He wasn't happy with the pigments he was using. And no, that was part of it. And so kind of talked to him and he liked my work. And I always showed healed work. And so I, talked to him about LI and like my favorite colors and blah, 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 blah. And then why we ended up talking on the phone was because he wanted to do like a training class. And he was told that he had to have, this credential and this certificate and be certified and all this stuff. I'm like, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. You don't have to answer to anybody. Anybody can just you can do a pop-up class wherever the hell you want. You're just going to go through your local health department. Just call them and see what they require, or wherever you hold your tattoo license. So that's how, we ended up, meeting and becoming, good friends. But yeah, I remember meeting you at ATB, but he knew that you and I would really dig each other. And he
told me from the beginning, he was like, you're going to love her. We're all going to just be really good friends. It's going to be our circle.
Yeah.
And then I got even more nervous because it was at that show that you and Kat approached me about the LI signature series.
Yes, good.
So I went from meeting someone that I highly respected to being asked by them to do something this big, and I was just like kind of overwhelmed.
That was a good segue, Jenn Boyd. I've been working on my segues for the podcast. But yeah, I did. I wanted to do something, really, really cool. I modeled my business, my store, after like some of the really cool tattoo stores, right? And and they always, the tattoo industry always did like artist series. So I wanted to do an artist series, and I wanted to have like 3 really cool artists. And I knew Will was going to be, eyeliner pigments, and then Monica Avani. I definitely wanted someone, in the UK that did, really cool brows, and I was talking to, me and Will were talking about you. And then Mary, of course, actually approached Mary as well. And Mary didn't end up doing it. But yeah, and I thought you'd be really, really good at it. Your work was stellar, and Will spoke very highly of you, and you were training by then. And I saw the way your students spoke about you, Jenn. People like you, and I don't say a lot online, especially now or the last, maybe 3-4 years. But I'm on there and I watch and I see what's being posted. I see how people respond. I watch, and I just don't really engage anymore, but I still like to know, who's out there, mentoring and, being positive, and like, who are the mean girls? Because there's always a set of mean girls, but you know what I mean? But anyway, and that's how, and I do collabs with people, and it's how I kind of get a feel on whether I want to collab with somebody, because I got to like you. I've got to, I get a lot of emails. I get inundated with people wanting a series with LI, or they want to collab with me on this, or they blah, 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 blah. And I got to like you, and I got to have a lot of respect for you. I got to admire you. I think there's a lot of credentials and assets that you have to have. You have to be really good with people, and like supporting and helping. And that was you. I just got the feeling that you were a great trainer. You supported your students, and people genuinely liked you and respected you. And you're doing something right when people admire and respect you, right? So I thought you'd be perfect, because when you have your own pigment line, that is a lot of support. You don't just, launch a pigment line and collect the sales. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, if people buy into your personal pigment line, right? But if they buy Jenn Boyd's line, I see it as they're buying into you, Jenn Boyd, the person, Jenn Boyd, the artist. They're buying into you. And because they respect and admire you, then, they know your pigments are going to be good and you are there to support them and help them learn the colors. I know there's only 4, but still, things go wrong. Someone can go too deep and get a ashy result. Some people can use the wrong color on someone super ruddy and get a gray result. And who do they come to? They don't come to me when a Jenn Boyd pigment, ashed out. They go to Jenn Boyd,
Right.
And I knew you'd be really good at that. So I wanted to ask you, how has it been? First of all, what did it feel like developing your line? It's a lot of time and effort. And then when it finally launched, when it's out there for all to see, and they're purchasing it and they start using it. There's a lot of, I know it's pride. It's also anxiety, I think, a little bit.
A lot of anxiety.
Yeah. And then supporting your supporting your customers, supporting your other artists, using your line. How's that whole journey been for you?
So when I started creating the colors, I know that we're like kind of focused on 4. So for me, I was like, okay, I need to think of 4 colors that will get me through almost all my clients. So had to have a blonde, had to have at least 2 brunettes. And then my goal was to come up with an almost black, because I had so many clients that were Hispanic and Asian that had jet black eyebrows, but their skin was not, fits 5 and 6. Their skin was like fits 3 and 4. Yeah. And to get a color to heal black in that skin is so hard, because we just start heading towards that ashy, gray blue color. Yeah. So Raven was the one that I probably concentrated on the most, because that was kind of the scariest color for me. The other 3 were kind of based off of favorite colors that I already had, but things that I did to modify them to make them what I used every day. And once we were able to launch them, I was so afraid.
You were afraid?
I was so afraid. The people that tested them for me were, close friends of mine and amazing artists. And, their depth was precise. They know what they're doing, and they were in love with them. They're like, I'm never going to use anything else. These are perfect for brows. These 4 colors get me through everybody. But, when you put them out there, you don't know if it's going to be a beginner artist using them, advanced, if they're heavy handed, if they're not. So what I was afraid of is that maybe people would start using them and their technique was off, and then all of a sudden everyone had ashy brows or the wrong color, and then it, taints the reputation of the line. Yeah. So I was very adamant to make sure that I was in the groups every day looking at anybody making a comment about Jenn Boyd, series, making sure that if someone needed help, I would message them or ask them if it was okay to message them, or if they wanted to email me. And I will say that I really haven't had too many people have issues. I think I've mentored, anywhere between 5 to 10 people that were beginners that were having a hard time with color choices. Mm-hmm. But other than that, people have really had great results. And even 1 or 2 years down the line now, their clients are coming back and the color's not changing.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, your pigments are awesome, and they've always been great sellers right from the beginning. But yeah. I messaged you, about 3-4 weeks ago, and I was like, holy shit, what is going on? They are blowing up. The sales, they just went up exponentially. And I think it's because they're iron oxides. I think people are having some concerns about the carbon load in some of the organic lines, and they're seeing, and it's lasting too long, right? It's really interesting, Jenn, because I can't remember exactly when. It could have been 5-6 years ago. The whole industry wanted organic, last forever, organic, no modifiers. Modifiers are a ripoff. No, we don't need modifiers. I remember one comment, them saying, companies like LI only put out modifiers to make extra money. We don't need modifiers. Make a pigment strong enough and it will just cover up the overtone, undertone. These are all comments that I still have in a folder. I was screenshotting everything because I wanted to address it like in a blog. And organic, like I said, just obsessed. And LI took a hit. It's like a lot of people just don't want iron oxides anymore. Not everybody, of course. There was a percentage of the industry that knew. They knew, and then here we are, a few years later, and they're going back to iron oxides.
Right. I think that there was that rumor that iron oxides all heal orange and pink,
and that's just such bullshit. And I'm sorry to say the word bullshit. It just pisses me off.
Total crap. Because
it is total crap. And
it was the over modifying that people were doing because they were told that if they're microblading, they had to modify every pigment that they're using.
Right.
And in fact, they didn't want to learn color theory. They just wanted to, grab a dark brown, add orange to it, and blade away.
That's exactly right. And you have to learn color theory. You have to learn the canvas you're putting pigment in. And a facial canvas, is much more complex than the body skin. There's a lot we deal with on the face, a lot of complexities, with facial skin. And the facial skin, the undertone, puts a lot of pressure on a pigment, especially through the aging process. And there are some iron oxides. I mean, I don't like the blanket statement that all iron oxides turn pink and orange. That's not true. There are some iron oxides that do. Red iron oxide is strong. Some of them are strong. But pigment manufacturers like LI, they know which red iron oxides are lower in light fastness, that aren't as strong. It's just knowing, it's a manufacturer knowing its colorants, knowing the light fastness, how to pair light fastness with other light fastness, because each colorant has a light fastness and you have to pair them, it's like you have to marry them properly. It's a very delicate balancing act, especially when it comes to aging. And I would say not all organics are going to turn a block of gray or a block of blue either.
Not all will, but it also depends on the technique and the skill.
Yeah, for sure. Technique and skill, that's
Some
for sure.
people just drill it in there.
Yeah.
And any color that you use, even the warmest brown, is going to go gray.
Exactly. If anything sits in skin long enough, there's always the potential it's going to shift color. LI's philosophy has always been, if our pigments happen to last long enough in skin, and some of them do, Jen, iron oxides. I think the big myth is an iron oxide falls out in a year and a half. And that's not true either. I mean, there are countless, not just me, but countless artists where we have, LI pigments 4, 5, 7, 8 years old in skin and still there. Not that it doesn't need to be refreshed. It's certainly lightened, but it's still there and it has not turned color, or it's slightly ashed out, or you see some slight pinkness. So LI's philosophy has always been that if any of our pigments happen to last that long in skin, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, we just don't want to see extreme shifting of color. We don't want to see extremes. If there's any shift in color, we want it to be subtle. That's their goal, and because it is true that anything sits in skin long enough is gonna shift color a little bit. Do you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, truthfully, I'm gonna be honest. If my brows are gonna, my clients' brows are gonna come back any color, I'd rather it be warm.
I'd rather, yeah, exactly.
It's the easiest to fix.
Right. I agree. It's
brows that are much harder to bring back to life.
Yeah, because you can just put a little brow mod and a little taupe, and it's good to go, But if they go, really gray, well, now you got to get out orange, and orange is a complicated color, right? It's a color.
You have to be so precise with that. It's not even funny.
No, you have to be very, very precise. Yeah,
like you can't just go a little bit outside that color because you're going to have an orange halo.
Well, exactly. Yeah, you have to be, and you have to be precise with the amount. I mean, do you go straight orange? Do you do yellow orange? Do you do mostly yellow with, a drop of like a warm yellow? And that's why you have to learn color theory, because modifiers is just part of our business, man. They are needed. And I think, a lot of the people that dismiss them and, even, had some negative statements about them 6-7 years ago are now using them, or,
Yeah, I feel like every line now has modifiers.
Every line does, because they didn't listen to us.
Well, I mean, everyone thinks they know.
Well, and everybody's got to figure out stuff on their own,
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And I think, and everybody's trying to come out with something new, a new niche, and, something different, something unique, and, and I don't blame them, but it was just the negative comments that bothered me. But yeah, so, and your pigment lines are doing great. Everybody loves them, and I know you're going to be adding some colors to your lineup. We won't say too much. But right now,
there'll be a couple more colors coming.
Yeah. Hopefully this fall, everything's back on track. We're all backed up. We're on back order with colorants and ingredients. I mean, it's just a mess. It's still a mess. Even though, COVID's pretty much, over, the ripple effects of COVID is still very much hurting, manufacturers with, things on back. I got a microwave that has been on back order for a year, for Pete's sake. A microwave, so we just remodeled. Yeah, because it's a certain size. We got it built into the island, and a year. Are you kidding me? A microwave. So yeah, hopefully this fall everything will be kind of flowing again, a little bit more normal with stock, and we can get going on your colors. So I was going to talk about your online store, but let's we'll just give that a shout out, because I wanted. Before we ran out of time, I did want to talk about law of attraction with you. But you do have an online store. JennBoydInc.com. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you sell lots of different stuff. So it's kind of a combination where I'm strictly PMU. You're a combination of PMU products and beauty, right?
Yeah. So we have JennBoydInc.com, which features all of our PMU products, our brow slayer microblades, all that good stuff. We have our keratin lash infusion, which I own as well, which is a lash and brow lamination and lift product. And then last year we opened a new store, Bronson USA, which is the Bronson dyes for brows and lashes.
Yes, nice.
Now we run 2 stores.
That's awesome. And so did you find I know you work with your husband and your 2 kids.
Yeah, they are all employed under both Jenn Boyd Inc. and Bronson USA.
Yeah, nice. And I've met all of them. I've spent some time with your family a couple of times, and you guys are just an awesome family. You're really super close.
We are.
Yeah.
It's almost weird.
I'm glad you said that. I was just going to say that. I go, at first it was a little weird. I was like, I've never seen a family love each other. No, not love each other, but like each other this much, where you want a vacation together and do everything together. Yeah, and I remember Will saying, yeah, it's a little fucking weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time. It's like, I wouldn't want that with my family, but no, but you guys you're really kind of a unique family. And after spending time and getting to know, your kids and Mark, I just think it's beautiful, Jen. I think it's unique and beautiful, and I love your whole family, and I think it's awesome that you all work together. I think it's great.
Well, we love you too. The kids love you. Mark loves you, and Kat.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
love spending
thank
time
you.
with you guys,
I know we
but
miss you. We were used to seeing
we
each
miss
other.
you too.
I
We can't
know.
wait
I
for you guys
know.
to come visit us in Florida so you could eat your steak on my
I
table.
know. I was a little sad. I'm not gonna lie that you moved to Florida. I don't know. I could never live in Florida because of my hair. I'm all about my hair, and I flat iron my hair. And the minute I
Yeah,
step off
the
the
hair gets pretty
plane,
wild. It
yeah,
does get wild.
yeah, I'd have
It
to shave
does
my
not
head.
behave.
Yeah, I couldn't handle it. I would have to like shave my head or get a faux hawk. But I don't think I'd look good in a faux hawk. So yeah, I can't move to Florida. But
Yeah, I think we surprised a lot of people when we,
did it
just
affect
kind
your business at all?
of moved. No, not at all. Just because I kind of semi-retired from taking clients, right before COVID, I started slowing down. And then of course, COVID kind of forced the slowdown.
Yeah.
So it kind of, we would always joke around, the 5-year retirement plan. At 47, I was going to be completely done with clients, and here I am at 46, and I'm pretty much done. I
Oh,
do
good
go
for
back
you.
to LA because I still have the studio, and I do take, clients, but that's going to probably stop this fall.
This fall? Okay, so you've shut down the studio.
We are going to shut down the studio, or we're going to be transferring it to another artist that might be taking over.
Gotcha.
But Jenn Boyd Inc., the studio, will not be there anymore. But
Oh.
we run our businesses online now. So
Yeah,
and that's
yeah, you'll be
always our
completely.
goal.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
awesome. Is it kind of sad? Is it kind of scary to think of Jenn Boyd
a
Studio?
little. It's a
Yeah,
little scary, because I've always been looked at as an artist,
yeah,
and then people started looking at me more as an entrepreneur. And now I'm kind of looked at more as the full-on entrepreneur. So now, there's more pressure to keep creating, pressure to keep putting out more products, but at the same time, I'm hands-on. So I can't just put out pigments without testing them. So of course I'm going to be, putting my hands on faces again.
yeah, yeah,
But I just feel it's important, for me to, use the products that I'm selling.
yeah,
But it's a little different because here we run everything from home.
yeah.
We converted our barn into a warehouse,
Oh, that's cool.
and pretty much the kids, wake up, walk across the yard to our second piece of land, and they do all of our shipping with Mark, and he handles all the wholesale and the international shipping now. So they kind of have like their departments, and sadly I don't have my assistant anymore, but we are looking for a new one, and we desperately need somebody because things have just kind of grown a little more
Yeah,
since on the Bronson products.
yeah.
And we just actually hired 70 people across the US to be trainers for Bronson.
Wow, good for you.
So that's another big project. But we're here in Florida doing it all.
Yeah,
And some
that's awesome, man.
people still think I'm in California, and they'll say, "Oh, Jenn, can I run by the studio and, pick up a KLI? I'm all out." And I'm like, "Well, where are you coming from?"
Yeah, right. That's super cool. Yeah, I'm so happy for you. You're doing fantastic. You really are. So I'm fantastic. Every now and then, because I'm like you, I'm super busy, doing projects and collaborating, my online academy, doing content, it's super busy,
Right.
I do a lot for LI. I work really closely with LI. So sometimes I feel like I'm ready to retire from the craft, actually doing procedures too, because sometimes, I'll be honest, it feels like an appointment is just in my way. Like it's just
Yeah.
taking up 2 hours where I could get this done and this done. But every time I sit down and I actually do a client, I still get a thrill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really afraid to quit. Because people know me too as an artist, and I still feel like an artist, and I'm still, not to toot my own horn, but I'm
Still
still
got it. You still got it.
I still got it. You know what I mean? It's like I
Yeah.
do. I really, really do. And and I still really dig it and love it. And I get super proud when I wipe them clean and sit them up. I mean, I still get that feeling. And so I'm not ready, but I definitely had to, reduce the amount of clients that I take. I'm still struggling managing my scheduling and my schedule so I don't feel overwhelmed. So I'm really trying to get to where I don't feel overwhelmed. Because that's when that's when you feel like you want to retire, you want to stop, the burden of everything you take on. So, if you can manage your schedule and, go at a good pace, then you end up loving everything and enjoying everything. It's when you overschedule and overwork and stretch your out so thin. It's better to slow down than have a breakdown. That's been my motto this year. So.
Yeah, I've been there before, and I'll never do that to myself again.
Yeah. Okay, good for you. So let's talk about law of attraction. So I was really, I started studying law of attraction I've been doing permanent makeup 22 years. So probably 25 years ago. And
wow.
Yeah. And I went on a date with a girl, and this is BK before Cat, way before Cat, WBK, way before Cat. And I went on a date with this gal, and we went to a coffee shop, and they had some, music, and she was a little little out there for me. I was like, okay. And she was talking spirituality, and I had never really heard of it. And at that time, I was kind of wandering, trying to figure out what to do with my life. I was caught-tailing, but not really feeling satisfied. And she gave me a couple of books, like Deepak Chopra, which was a little bit too complicated for me at the time. I had just gone through a breakup, and I was heartbroken. She gave me a book by Marianne Williamson. I did read that, and I read it again. I read it like 3 times. And then Wayne Dyer. I started reading Wayne Dyer, and I could really understand his writing. And there were some other authors. And so I started practicing law of attraction, and it became a huge, huge part of my life. And it is today, And when I heard you mention it a few years ago, I can't remember how many years ago it is now, but I was like, oh, that's cool. She's into law of attraction. Because there's not too many people you can really get deep and talk law of attraction. I think a lot of people, it's become very cliche, I think.
Yeah. I think people kind of look at it as almost hocus pocus, we're trying to think magical and casting spells, and it's witchcraft, or they don't really know what it is.
No, or they think it's just think hard enough and a shiny new car appears in your driveway, or and not that you can't manifest a shiny new car, but right. I think some people look at manifestation as a way to just, if you just think really hard, I'm gonna get money and material things and this, and there's nothing wrong with money and material things. That's one thing law of attraction teaches you, is to be comfortable, with money and material things and feeling deserving and whatnot. But I think there's just a misconception about manifestation and law of attraction. I see, for me, law of attraction it's just simply living in optimism and being your best self, treating people, kindly and with grace, treating yourself kindly with grace, living in optimism. To me, that's what law of attraction is in a nutshell. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but that's my short definition. What is your short definition of law of attraction?
The shortest definition I can give is you get what you give. That's what the law of attraction is. What you put out is what you receive. So, people say, if I think really hard, I'm going to have this. That's actually completely opposite of what law of attraction is.
Yeah.
When you focus on things, you tend to bring anxiety, negative thoughts, oh, I don't have this car, but I really want this car. You're anxious about it. You're not feeling good about it. And what people don't understand is with the law of attraction, it's all about the emotion that you put behind those thoughts. And that's the hardest part, is trying to break through all those, built-in thoughts that we've had since we were, kids, and trying to break through and realizing that if we're thinking about something that we really, really want, and we're just like nonstop thinking about it and anxious about it, we're pushing it farther away.
Right. Yeah, and then you can become a manic thinker, right? You can start getting...
Exactly. You can drive yourself insane.
You can drive yourself insane. And you touched on something that I think I did a little TikTok video on this not too long ago, and it's emotional. It's like, first you have to think about what you want, dream what you want. You have to believe you can get it, and you have to feel it. You have to feel it, and it's really hard to describe to somebody like what you mean. How do you feel like you want a successful, studio on Jones Boulevard?
Yeah,
as an example. Yeah. But my example that I give is, you watch a movie and you can cry. Literally, you feel deep emotion. Some people do watching movies, and you can have real tears coming down your eyes. You can sob and have to get tissue and really cry. You can laugh so hard you pee, right? You can get really angry at a movie. Yeah. And that's all fake Hollywood shit, but it emotes emotion. And
right.
If
the emotions are real.
The emotions are real. And
They're real.
Right, and it's a fake Hollywood movie bringing out that emotion. So if we can think about what we want, our dreams, what we want to achieve for ourselves, and what we want to accomplish, and how we want our lives to look, our relationships to look, and we think about those, when you're thinking about those things I just mentioned, those thoughts should be bring out that kind of emotion the same way a movie can. And that's a high level of manifestation. And it took me many, many, many years to develop that, to really develop that. It doesn't happen overnight, for sure. But it's a process, and it's a discipline, it's a belief, it's a lifestyle, right?
It's 100% a lifestyle. I kind of equate it to bodybuilders, where they're building their muscles and they're building their bodies, and every day they're working at it. That's how I feel about the law of attraction. Every day I do have to work at it, and it's like I'm conditioning myself to try to live in a positive state of mind, which of course doesn't happen every day. We're not, robots where we can just automatically turn it off. There's things that happen that are going to take us down. But when it comes to manifesting, and I think I had a post on this a while back, I said manifesting is the belief that your dream exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, manifesting isn't just wishing or wanting, it's knowing I have it and trying to evoke that emotion inside myself that I will have when I actually see it in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's hard to do, because it's almost like you're faking yourself out, but through meditation and journaling and things like that, you really can do it. And I'm not a very outwardly emotional person. I'm pretty guarded, and I can be very reserved, even though I could be dying inside of excitement. I can subdue that on the outside. Mm-hmm. So to get myself to be able to do stuff like that, it took a lot of work.
Yeah, it does take a lot of work. And sometimes you feel, I remember when it first started happening to me, you feel kind of silly.
Yeah.
But when I
I make myself giggle so I can feel happy, and
yeah.
This is why people think other people are crazy.
Yeah. I mean, when I was, and you're right, you have to, it's not just like this, dream somewhere off in your mind that you hope you have. It's like that dream, it does exist. It exists. And you just have to believe it exists. It is there for you, and take action and find the path there. And the path is not straight, right? Lots of obstacles, lots of struggles. Struggle is a part of the formula. You have to go through struggle to reach success. It's part of the formula. It just is. It's just how do you meet with those struggles, right? You have to look at those struggles as an opportunity, right? And so if you were going to take a right turn, but big roadblock, big struggle, and that caused
the universe pushing you that other way.
That's right.
And that's what that struggle was for.
Yes. So now you have to take a left turn, and you're all freaked out, and you're upset. Not you and I anymore. Not you and I anymore. Yeah, you want to go right, and you're still trying to walk right, but now you're in quicksand, it's just trusting. It's just trusting the process. When I was manifesting this studio, I could smell the coffee. I knew Kat would come in and drink coffee here. I could smell the coffee. I could see the wallpaper. It's bringing it to life in your mind, imagining the colors, or if it's a relationship, imagining, maybe not so much imagining what the person looks like, because that's very restrictive, but imagining the qualities of that person and
how they make you feel.
Yeah, how they make you feel, and whatnot. So I think, law of attraction, I always say, PMU, I always say PMU saved my life, but probably really law of attraction saved my life, because law of attraction led me to PMU, and PMU gave me purpose, right? It was something finally that I was good at, and I could call my dad and tell him, hey, I'm doing this, I could be proud of, and I could earn a living at. And
a really good one.
And a really good one, which I didn't, which I didn't know back then. And my first 5 years, I did not make a very good living. My first 3 years, I was, broke as all hell and super struggled, because there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no nothing. And permanent makeup, people didn't quite understand it 22 years ago. And so I struggled my first 3 years financially. And then I started getting a little bit more stable. I think at about the 5-year mark, I was pretty stable, where I definitely wasn't going, a week without, a handful of clients anymore. But it took me some time, to build a stable clientele. And then by the time I opened this studio, I was booked out 6 months. 4 or 5 clients a day. I was doing 10, 12-hour days, some days 6 days a week. And that's when I decided I needed my own studio. I needed to bring on artists. And I always saw that for myself. I always saw me having a PMU studio exactly the way a body tattoo studio is. That was always like my dream, and having a really super cool online permanent makeup store that looked cool, and sold cool shit. I wanted all of that. I saw all of that happening for me. And and I'm just super blessed that it all came to fruition. But, I just like you, Jen, there's sacrifice. I have sacrificed a lot, and I still sacrifice. You sacrifice your time, and you miss out on a lot of stuff because of work, and deadlines and timelines and engagements and whatnot. But it's a sacrifice. I gladly give into, because I'm happy. I'm doing what I love. I'm super happy. I'm still happy all these years, doing this. So, and I got a great team. I'm super lucky. I'm sitting here with Olivia and Willow right now. Yeah. Okay. So are we at about an hour? Yeah. We're at about an hour. Okay. So that was a really good conversation, Jen. But,
it was. But I got,
yeah. So But I got a little game I got a little game I want to play with you.
Okay, fun.
Okay. So you can't think about this. I got 6 questions.
Okay.
Hang on, I got to put my glasses on. I think I know. I think I know the first 2 ones. I definitely know what you're going to say to the first 2 ones. Third one, I'm super excited to know that one. I don't know. Okay, you ready? So it's just really quick. I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to answer me quick without thinking about it. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
This is like my segment, Get to Know You. Get to know Jenn Boyd.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
Here we go. Question number 1. Are you a morning or a night person?
Night.
I knew that. You don't get up till 12 noon. Is that true?
I actually naturally wake up anytime between 9 and 10 every morning, but I'm up until like 2. So I get like that 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
I'm not a morning person either. I wake up a little rough. Like, don't talk to me for 30 minutes. I need me a coffee. But I'm up till like midnight, at least midnight. Yeah, I can't go to bed earlier than that.
I cannot.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Number 2. You ready?
Yes.
I know this one too. Romance or thriller movie?
Oh my gosh, I love both, but I guess I'm probably gonna have to go with thriller.
I knew that. I'm surprised you thought about it. I
did have to think about that because I do love romance movies.
Okay, I do too. But I think I'm a thriller. I would, if I had to pick one or the other.
A romantic thriller would be perfect.
Oh yeah, like oh God, who was that one back in the day with Sharon Stone? That was so good. Remember that one? What was that one?
Was it Fatal Attraction?
Fatal Attraction. Yes,
yeah.
That was so good. And she still looks hot too, Sharon Stone. I just saw her in an
interview. She really does.
Yeah, super hot.
Yeah,
I love her. I know. I just saw her in an interview and I'm like, damn girl, she looks great. All right. Okay, third one. I'm excited to see who this is. Who is your celebrity girl crush?
Celebrity girl crush?
Yeah. Who's your celebrity girl crush?
You know, that one, I would probably say Gwen Stefani.
Oh, she's hot. Yeah.
I've always loved Gwen Stefani.
You just like her outfits.
I do. I like her style, and
I do too.
That's always been one of my favorite bands. And she's like in her 50s, and literally, what a queen!
Yeah, what a queen! Yeah. And I like her with Blake Shelton.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think they balance very nicely.
Yeah, I like them. I thought it was odd. I didn't expect it.
It was weird at first. It was weird,
but I loved it. And I think they're super in love. So yeah, okay. I love Gwen Stefani. She's a good one. Okay, saver or spender?
I'm a spender.
I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that one. Yeah.
Only because of the way my beliefs are in the law of attraction.
It's just going to be all replenished.
Exactly. Money is fluid.
Money's fluid. Right. Gotcha. So, okay. Do you prefer to order in or order out? Go out to eat? I
like to go out.
You like to go out? Yeah. Me too. That's a hard one though, because sometimes I'm lazy.
I love sitting in restaurants and having like a really good cocktail and a good meal. It's relaxing.
Me too. What's your favorite cocktail?
If you ask Nosh, she'll say perfume. But I love anything that has like lavender, gin.
Ew, I don't like gin.
I like herbal.
Herbal. Okay.
Cocktail. Yeah. Nosh says perfume drinks.
Perfumey, like smelly drinks.
Yeah. Like they're perfumey. Yeah.
So you should, so like schmelly drink.
A schmelly drink.
Schmelly drink. You know, Schmelly Cat, right? From Friends? Yeah. Schmelly Cat. Me and Na are going to write a song called Schmelly Drink. Yeah.
All about my cocktails.
Yeah, like one of my really good friends drinks gin, and I'm like, oh, I can't even stand the smell of it. It's like, yeah, I'm not into the schmelly drinks. I'm like a vodka girl. I like Belvedere, Grey Goose. I like a good Cosmo. Yeah, so.
I love vodka too.
Okay, so this one you might have to think about a little bit. But this is a good one. Okay, so who do you look up to the most, and what qualities do you love most about them? That's a good question.
I would probably say my mom.
Your mom? Oh, that's
My mom.
sweet.
And it's not to be cliche or anything, but my mom is probably one of the most patient, kind, strong people I know. And like everything about her is like just so serene, no matter like what we're going through or anything, you know, she's always just been such a steady, like calming place for me, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. That's really, I love that. That's awesome.
I really look up to the fact that she can just like keep her cool.
Keep her cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I see you keeping your cool. You seem like a person who keeps their cool.
I do, but I can also get really freaked out easily, anxious.
Yeah, but you're not like explosive. You don't have a temper.
Oh no, I don't have a temper at all.
Yeah, no, I don't see that with you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, this was really fun. Did you have?
It was.
Yeah, I love talking to you.
I love talking to you.
Yeah, I could talk about so much more. So I'm definitely going to have you back on.
I would love it.
Yeah, because we could do a whole thing. We could do a whole podcast on law of attraction. We could do a whole podcast on microblading. I know.
And microblading, who wants to hear about it?
I know, but I think people are starting to be into law of attraction, you know, and it's healing, and you know, there's just I don't know. I think a lot of people could use law of attraction and the principles behind law of attraction in their lives, you know. So yeah, all right then. Okay, hang on. Don't leave, Jen. I'm going to say goodbye to our viewers, but don't you go anywhere. Okay. All right, you guys, that was Jenn Boyd, and I want to thank you for joining us. Please remember, you can go to our YouTube page, Tatter-a-fact, and watch this interview, watch all our interviews, or you can stream us on Spotify, Buzzsprout, iTunes, and Podcast Addict. Stay in the pursuit of happiness, everybody, and we will see you next time.